And then I think what happens is there's a thing that pops up on your computer. So you're just going to take the time to hit, I think for you would be continue also, so that it clears away so you can see the screen again. And then, welcome, Pilates 1 hour. Before we get set up in our space, just make sure it's free and clear of objects so you're not bumping or knocking into anything. And remembering we want to keep our practice always safe. So if there's any lightheaded or dizziness feeling within inside of you, please stop immediately. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and begin our last Zoom virtual Pilates class. Let's do it. I'm going to start on our back to begin. Knees bent and feet grounded. Either lining the knees and feet up nicely with your hip bones in the front body, narrow stance, or if you'd like to, you can take your feet out a little bit wider, and then you can let the knees gently come together. And sometimes that allows our lower back to open up just a little bit more. So you're finding you're needing that within your body. This is a nice position to bring your legs in for that. Your arms are going to be lengthened all the way down to the floor, but angled away from your body a bit, about 45 degrees. Your palms will face up so that the shoulders can start to roll open, and then lightly press the backs of shoulders to ground to broaden across your chest space. Take the crown of your head and lengthen it to the back of your workspace and allow the chin to land so it's fist distance away from your chest. And then during your practice, I'd like you to imagine that you then were holding lightly a tennis ball between that space. Let the eyes close. Start to bring the focus inward as we begin to connect the mind and body through our breathing. We'll start by taking a deep inhale through the nose, and then long and steady exhales out through the mouth. Breathing in deep, make sure to fill all the way up. Slow, steady stream of air you're going to release, but make sure that you empty completely down to the very bottom till you no longer can. Then when you breathe in, you can pull that breath in from the pit of your belly. Draw it into the ribs, lift it up into the chest. And then as you exhale, you're emptying from the top of your chest, pressing down through your ribs, and then you're squeezing those last few drops out through lower belly. There's also going to be expansion when you inhale, filling the lungs, letting the ribs widen out to the sides. Then as you exhale, I'd like you to squeeze the breath out from start to finish and feel the ribs begin to knit and pull and draw back to the midline of your body. Nice, easy inhale through your nose. But now let's force the breath out with power. Tightly pursed lips. The breath is now audible and strong. Physically, when you breathe in with ease, your belly is going to rise. The muscles within the abdominals are relaxed and disengaged. When you exhale with that force and power, those muscles begin to activate. So feel the contraction then of your core, the firming up of your belly. Now I'd like you to continue just to stay here with this breath, as it's not often a day-to-day type of breathing, rather a learned and a practiced one. So feel the rhythm and the movement and the sensations that are being created within your body. Then see if you can start to pull your abs in even more deeply each time that you breathe out. Focusing on these things can allow your mind to be cleared of all other thoughts so that you can be really mindful within your practice. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath here. Big inhale. Long and firm exhale. One more time, breath in. And then as you exhale, I'll ask you to gently open up the eyes. Once your eyes have opened, if you had your feet wide and knees together, I'll ask you now just to bring the knees and feet to hip bone width distance. When you breathe in next, I'd like you to slowly turn your head to look over your right shoulder, as far over as you can look. And then as you exhale, I'd like you to transition. Slowly turn your head to look over as much that left shoulder as you can. Again, inhale, we slowly swivel the head back to look over the right shoulder. And then as you exhale, you turn then to look back again over your left shoulder. Let's do one more to each side, making sure that our head stays in contact with the ground the entire time we're moving through. Nice rotational movement for our cervical spine. Let's take it over to the left, breathing out. And then taking an inhale to return the head to center. And then as you exhale, I'd like you to lift your arms up to the sky. Have your palms faced in. Hands are shoulder width distance apart. Your next inhale, I'd like you to take the backs of your shoulders, shrug them off the ground, and reach your fingertips up closer to the sky. When you exhale, I'd like you to plug the backs of the shoulders into the earth and feel them root back into their sockets. Let's do that a couple more times. When you breathe in and lift your shoulders off the ground, lift your fingertips to sky, your shoulder blades start to spread out behind you, chest starts to narrow. But then when we exhale, the shoulder blades start to draw closer in and the chest really broadens and opens up. We'll do that one more time. Generally speaking, when we shrug up here, this is what we want to avoid within our body during class. But then as we plug in, this is generally what we want to achieve within activation of upper back and openness of our chest space. Keeping the arms plugged down firm on your next inhale, I'd like you then take both of your arms, reach them behind you to the back of your mat, and as you do, seal the ribs down tight so they don't pop up. When you breathe out, the arms are going to sweep out wide and circle back down beside you. Now feel your fingertips reach down to your heels. Shoulder mobility, let's do that again. Arms lift up and over on an inhale. Your spine really imprints to the ground. Your core firms up. And then as you exhale, you circle out and down. Let's do a couple more. Finding the fullest range of motion that you can within your body. And as the arms circle out and down, try to either keep them in contact with the floor or as close to the ground as you can. Let's do that once more. Inhale up and over, core tightening. Exhale, circle through. And then let the arms come out to a T from here, your palms faced up. And then I want you to feel the backs of your arms and the backs of your shoulders pressed really firmly to the floor. From narrow knees and feet, I want us to take them wider, step them out a little bit more than shoulder width distance apart. And you have a wide stance with your legs. We'll move next into mobility of hips and warming up our lower back while we strengthen our powerhouse in the front. Let's take an inhale, gently lower your legs over to the right side of your workspace, but don't let your upper body shift or lift off the ground. Then firm up your belly and slowly bring the legs back to center as you exhale. Do the other side, left leg, or legs are going to lower to the left. Swing me on an inhale. Pull up with belly strength. Exhale. Let's continue to work side to side here with our breath, with our power of strength within our abdominals. The legs should feel like they're along for the ride. And using the stability of your upper body so that you can get more stretch and pull into the fronts of your hips. Let's do 2 more to each. 2 more to the right. 2 more to the left. Let's take it 1 more to each side, back over to the right again. Breathe it in. Exhale, pull it up. Let's do that once more to the left on an inhale. Bringing up to center on the exhale. Let's stay centered, but then bring the knees and feet back to their narrow stance. And then take the arms close in by your sides. Let's take a breath in while we're here and press the arms into the floor. Then I'd like us to firm up the lower belly. As you exhale, lift your feet off the ground. Use your core strength to draw the knees in towards your chest, and then place your hands on your knees. Let's start to draw some circles with the legs here, both moving in the same direction, so either clockwise or counterclockwise. We're massaging out now the lower back region just above the tailbone. Take a moment, then to pause and reverse the direction. Big breaths in, strong belly breaths out. Good, then let's bring the legs back into still. Working next with the mobility of our hip joints. Breathing in, I'd like you to use your hands now to separate your legs, open them to a big straddle, pause at the top. Then as you exhale, I'd like you to circle the legs around, bring them back together again. Hands will consistently stay on your knees. Yeah. Inhale, we separate and open the hips. Then we circle the legs through. Rejoin with the legs. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, open and pause. Exhale, circle through. Take it together. One last time. Inhale, opening up. And then circling through. Breathing out. Place both hands on your right knee from here and stretch your left leg to the ground. I want you to flex the left foot so the leg can anchor to the floor. You're going to then hug your right leg in a bit closer to your body, which helps to stretch the glute and lower back. Shoulders actively draw away from the ears. Begin to circle the right foot to warm into the ankle. Reverse direction. Foot then comes into still. Right arm comes back out to a T. Palm is up, shoulder is pressed in. As many breaths as you need, your leg is going to cross over to the left side while you look over your right shoulder, coming into spinal twist. Ease into it, breathe into it. Let your exhales settle you more each time. Make sure the back of your right shoulder is still connected to the ground and that there's expansion and contraction of the midsection. Stay here for 3 more cycles of breath. Breathing in, breathing out. A couple more times. Inhale, fill it up. Exhale, squeeze it out. With this last one, we'll breathe in deeply. Now we're going to firm up our belly and then exhale, unwind our body, return to center. And then once you've centered, place both hands back onto that right knee. Hug the leg in a bit closer again. Take an inhale. Firm up your belly again. This time, exhale, push out through your left heel, lift the left leg off the ground and slowly pull it up so the knee lands stacked above the hip. Once it has, then point to the toes, externally rotate the thigh, and then as you inhale, you're going to take that left leg and start to lower it back down towards the floor. Find your own edge and own level of lowering that you can maintain. And then as you breathe out, firm your belly up again and use your core strength to pull the leg slowly back up to its starting point. Again, coming down with resistance in the leg as if it were moving against current. And then on your exhale, your core takes hold to help pull the leg up. Let's just do that once more. Lengthen out through the toes as you lower the leg downward. Firm in your belly, navel pulls to spine, the leg stacks back up, and then once it has, bend the knee, pull the knee in, place your left hand on that knee, then right hand on that knee. Stretch the right leg to the floor, flexed foot, anchor it down. Hug the left leg in, pull the shoulders away from your ears. Draw circles with the left foot, warm in the ankle. Reverse direction. So the foot comes into still, left arm out to its side, palm up, shoulder down. Now we guide the leg across to our right while we look over our left shoulder, rotation here. We never want to rush into this space or force our body in. Our breath guides us. Every inhale will create some more space within your body. That exhale releases the space, which can allow you, again, to kind of land more deeply into form. Let's stay here for 3 more cycles of big breaths in, long breaths out. Twice more. Inhale. Exhaling. Once more here. Breath in big. Now we're going to engage the belly and unwind our bodies on that exhale. And both hands back onto that left knee. Take a breath in here. Use your core strength again. Push out through right heel. Lift the right leg off the ground and slowly draw the leg up towards the sky. Your knee is going to stack above the hip, not the foot. If the foot stacks, the leg has pulled in too much. So we want to make sure it's just the knee. Our foot will always be just a bit more in front of us. And then now instead of flexed foot, I want you to point the toes and then use that to externally rotate the thigh, meaning we're not angling the leg out to its side. We're just like a lid on a jar, twisting open. Then when you breathe in, that right leg begins to lower slowly downward towards the floor, or left leg, I'm sorry. Wait, no, what are we on? Right leg. Lift on the exhale. I'm so used to mirroring, and now when I don't, I get confused. Right leg coming down slow. Again, now imagine your leg, we're moving through molasses, right? Thick, sticky, slow, lift the same way on the exhale. The slower you move, the more your muscles are forced to do the work. Let's do that once again. Coming down, not only are you lengthening out through your toes, but I want you to reach out through that hip as well. And then exhale, pull up with belly strength, stack the knee, and then once it has, bend the knee, pull it in, hand on that knee, rock gently side to side. Yeah, I'm so used to my rights being my lefts and lefts being right, but then sometimes I get them all sorts of jumbled up. All right. Let's take both feet to the floor again. Now we're going to work in stretching and opening up the glutes and the outer hips. So let's take the right ankle and cross it over the left knee. Flex the foot here for energy. And take your right hand to the inner thigh to gently push the leg out. By pushing the leg out, it helps to open up more space to that hip, which can allow for a deeper stretch. Once you have it open, then rely on the strength of your leg to keep it pushed out. Arms are going to come out to a T. Let's use those arms as anchors as well. Let's take a breath in. As you breathe out, I'd like you to take your lower half and lean it over to the left, right? Shifting weight. And as the legs pull to the left, notice what happens to your right hip. That stretch starts to wrap around just a little bit. And then come back up on the inhale, right to center. We'll do that again. Exhale slowly. Take your time. Use the entire exhale to move the legs over to the left. Notice the change in the right side though, and then pull back up with a tight core when you breathe in. We're just going to do 2 more here. So exhale, arms press down. You shift over to the left with the legs. And then lift back up when you inhale. Let's do that once more. Exhale, leaning to the left with the legs. Upper body stays nice and still. And then belly strong to lift the legs back to a centered position. We're going to keep them there. Now we're going to just reach that right leg up to the sky. Hold from behind with both hands and anchor your tailbone firm to the floor. You're going to push the leg into the hands as if pushing away from body. Arms are straight, long, and strong. Then you're going to bend those elbows and use your hands to draw that leg in a little closer, but making sure that the knee doesn't bend. If we bend our knee, we lose stretch. So length of leg is a key component. As you hold the stretch here, I'd like you to flex your right foot. Notice the added sensation into your calf. And then as you point the toes, notice the transition of sensation into the shin and the top of your foot. We'll do that a couple more times. Heel to sky, hold and feel. And then point the toes, hold and feel. We'll do that one more time. Flex foot, pointed toes, and then we'll keep the toes pointed here. The hands are going to release. The arms come back down at your sides. And because we were in stretch, now our leg is pulled in a bit too close. So we're just going to push the leg out. So again, the knee stacks above the hip. And then we're going to externally rotate the thigh once again. This is a very small movement. We want to make sure that our pelvis is stable and steady, and we feel the backs of our hips equally grounded throughout the movement. So take your time. On a breath in, you're going to take the right leg that's lifted and you're going to cross it just slightly over the body, just a small cross. Then even smaller, when you exhale, start to sweep the leg down, creating a circle, opening slightly out to the side, then sweeping upward, and then stacking the knee above the hip again. Pause. We'll do that again. Cross the leg slightly over on an inhale. Very slowly draw a small circle, sweeping down, sweeping out to the side, sweeping upward, and then stacking. Let's do 2 more. Crossover, breathe in. Use a lot of your core here to help stabilize the pelvis, as the pelvis is going to be tempted to rock and shift while the leg is moving through. Let's do it once more. Crossover, breathe in. Circle, and you can increase the size of your circle for more intensity. Just make sure that you can still maintain the same control. Now we stop at the top and we will reverse the direction. So we'll open the leg out to the side to begin next. Then we sweep downward, slightly across the body, sweeping upward, stacking, pausing. Again, opening out, inhale, circling through nice and slow. The rest of our body should feel like a statue, 0 movement. Let's do that twice more. Open on an inhale. Circle through, take your time, slow, steady, supported. Once more, open on an inhale. Circle down, bring across, find a lift, find a stack, and then once you have, pull that knee in, both hands hold on, just squeeze the leg gently into the body. And then let go ahead and release the foot to the floor. So I'm gonna do all of that on the other side, starting with the outer hip and glute stretch. Left ankle crosses, foot flexes. Your hand comes to the inner thigh and we're pushing the leg out, opening up some space, and then use the strength of your leg to keep it there so that you can take your arms out to a T. Palms are up, shoulders are in. We breathe in. Now the legs will lean over to the right when you exhale. Take your time. We don't need to rush. But then feel the change in your left hip as you move through. Belly firms, legs lift. Take an inhale. Exhale again, slow shift to the right. Feel though within the left side. Come back up on the inhale and let's go ahead and do 2 more here. Squeeze it out. Upper body is really nicely squared on the mat. Pull back up, take an inhale. 1 more time, shifting over to the right with the lower half of body. Lifting to center. And then reaching that left leg up to the sky. Hold from behind and anchor down. Push forward first with the leg. Maintain the energy of the leg doing that. And then you're just going to kind of fight that energy by pulling in at the same time equally. Push-pull is always in the majority of stretches, there's always going to be this kind of push and pull factor. And that's going to bring more tautness to the leg or stretch. Now let's flex the foot and notice the addition of sensation into the calf. Pointing the toes where then it travels to shin and foot, the top of. Again, flex the foot and point the toes. And we'll do that one last time. Heel to sky. Pointed toes, and then the toes stay pointed so that you can release your hands and take your arms beside you. Readjust the left leg so the knee is above the hip again. External rotation of thigh. Single leg circles here. We're going to cross the leg slightly over when we inhale. Belly strong, circle down, opening out slightly to the side, and then lifting and stacking above the hip again. Pause. Again, we cross over on an inhale. Circle through slowly on the exhale. 2 more in this direction. Remember, you can increase the size, just maintain your control. 1 last time here, cross over on an inhale. Your body, the rest of it, very quiet. Stop at the top when you're here. Now we'll do it the other way. We open the leg to its side to begin on an inhale, which is actually a little bit more physically challenging for our bodies to start in that manner. Let's do that again. Opening out without the backs of your hips seesawing, right? We slowly pull through and we restack. We have 2 more here. Inhale to initiate the movement, following through with the exhale when the belly's the most firm. Let's do that again. Opening out on an inhale. Single leg circle, control it, stack it, lift it. And then the knee bends, the hands come onto that knee. You give your leg a little hug into your body. And then release that foot back down to the floor. Take this time now just to realign the knees and feet with your hip bones. Also make sure that your ankles are beneath the knees. I know I've spoken to this before, but the idea of bone being stacked on top of bone definitely provides a lot more strength and stability within our body, rather than if our feet were too far in front of us. Sometimes then the support gets lost. And then depending upon the move you're doing, that can cause the hamstrings to cramp up. So we always want to be nice and structured. All right, let's take our arms next, lift them to the sky. Palms are going to face forward. Hands are shoulder width distance. You want to feel the energy of your fingertips reaching up, but remember your shoulders, we want them plugged in and down. Let's take a breath in here. Firm in your lower belly, then peel up your head, your neck, your shoulders on the exhale. Right towards the bottom of your breath, your arms finish down into a hovered position. Return to the ground again with head and shoulders on an inhale. And then at the very top of the breath, the arms finish by stacking above the shoulders. Exhale, the arms already begin moving right from the get-go, but they just kind of finish it off at the bottom. Same as when you're coming down. They still track along with the head and shoulders. They're just the last things to land. Let's do 2 more. Root that tailbone to the floor. Come down on your inhale. It's tempting for our pelvis to rock back. So feel your tailbone anchored as you find lift. Stay lifted, eyes to navel. Turn your palms to face up. Take a little curl in the wrists, a little bend in the elbows, but keep the arms low and hovered. On an inhale, we want to open those arms out without moving anything else. And then squeeze those arms back in close to your sides. Again, we open up the arms. And then we squeeze them back in. We're just doing this one more time. Opening up, belly tight, belly tight, belly tight, belly tight. Squeeze it out. Good, then let the arms, head and shoulders come back down to the ground. Maybe some gentle turns of the head from side to side to recover. Good, and let's bring our head back into still. From here, lift your right foot off the ground and draw that knee towards your chest. Keep your arms at your sides. And go ahead and do the same thing with your left foot lifting, knee drawing in. When we pull the legs in one at a time, it helps to keep our lower back safe. Sometimes as we lift and draw in at both, depending if your body was engaged or not, that could lead to some discomfort. So we want to just practice safe. From here, we're going to move into some single leg extensions. So make sure your spine's imprinted to the floor, your arms are pressed in firm. And if you ever want more stability, you can take the arms out to T. If you ever want a little less support and a little bit more of a challenge, you can lift the arms and remove them, but stack them above the shoulders. So you're choosing a position of that. So let's take an inhale. I'd like you to start with the right leg. On the exhale, you're going to slowly extend it out and away from the body. Reaching it up higher to the sky has a little bit more ease and modification. Closer to the floor is going to have more heat, so you can decide. Then pull that right leg back in, good and slow. Everything else, a statue. Left leg extending out, lengthening away, pointing the toes, turning the leg into a stiff, firm board. And then draw that leg back in again on an inhale. So let's take this next round to think about the mechanism of our movement. When we lengthen our right leg out, the movement starts at the hip joint. The hip lengthens the thigh, lengthens the shin, the top of the foot. Then we finally lengthen out through the toes. It's kind of the same factor on the way back in. We pull in from the hip, then the thigh, then the knee, and then the heel comes into the glute. Let's do that on the left leg. Lengthen out through hip, through thigh, through shin, through top of foot, through toes. Then we draw in from hip, thigh, the knee, and then the heel pulls down to the glute. Let's extend that right leg out again on your exhale. Let's just hold it there this time and draw some slow circles. Now the moving mechanism is still at the hip. That's where the strength comes from and all the pelvic floor core muscles. 3 tiny circles. 2, 1. Pause, reverse direction. Use those arms to your advantage if they are grounded. Press them in. 3, 2, 1. Good. Gently pull that leg back in. Now the left leg on your next exhale is going to extend away. Hold it there and draw circles here. Inhale, exhale steadily. You have to pull the belly in very deeply to support this. 3, 2, 1. Pause and reverse. This is a bit tricky, so if you need to adjust, just lift your leg a little higher to the sky. Yeah. 3, take your time. 2, solid leg. 1. Good, and then draw that knee in, place hands on knees, and just rock gently side to side to recover again. Okay. Let's come back into stillness. Let's keep our hands on our knees. Let's keep our spine rooted down, but we have a choosing next to keep our head grounded on the mat as it is If at any point in time during this next exercise you want a little bit more, you can do it with the head and shoulders lifted. You could also decide you want a little less, and you can take your head back down to the ground. So never feel that you're locked into a specific position the entire time. It's really important to be able to listen to our bodies and then adjust accordingly if needed. All right, we're gonna move into double leg stretch. So again, either choice of head lifted or grounded, or doing that anywhere in between. On a breath in, I'd like you to take both of your legs and extend them out away from you like we just once had, but at the same time. And now the arms are gonna reach behind you at the same time. And then on your exhale, circle the arms around, pull the knees back in, and place your hands back onto your knees, coiled back into a ball. Reach away on an inhale, closer to sky, modified, closer to ground, more intensified. Exhale, circle around and bring back in. 4 more. If the head is lifted, it's very tempted for it to fall back when the arms reach behind. So make sure that your eyes are glued to your belly button throughout. Inhale. Unless you feel strain in your neck. If you're fighting to keep the head up, that's that cue just to take it back down. Let's do 2 more. Lengthening out through fingertips and toes. Contracting and coiling into midline. 1 more time, reach it away, belly firms up. And then draw back in and recover and rest. However that feels like for you or looks like for you. Okay. I want us to take a moment to come back into still. Return our feet to the floor. Bring our arms close at our sides. Knees and feet are hip bone width. Ankles are beneath the knees, and the arms are stretched down long and pressed down to the floor. Let's take a breath in. And then exhale, dig your feet into the ground and lift your hips slowly up into a bridged position. We don't want our shoulder blades to come off the ground, and we don't want our ribs popped up, so we drop them in and keep the core belly firm. Let's roll back down on the inhale. Articulate your spine. And then exhale, arms and feet press straight down. Hips lift straight up. Imagine you had a little ball between your knees, squeezing it lightly to keep them tracked and the inner thighs strong. Let's roll back down on the inhale. We'll take 2 more. Lifting up, exhaling, belly tightening, tightening, tightening. A nice even diagonal from knees, hips to shoulders. Roll down, take an inhale. Last one, arms and feet push straight down, hips lift straight up. Let's keep those hips in that position. And then inhale next, take your arms, reach them up to the sky, reach them back behind you. And then as you exhale, the arms are gonna lift back up, and then they're gonna lower back at your sides where they had started. Let's do that a couple more times. So inhale, arms reach up and over. Now what I want you to focus on here is as the arms come back down to the ground again, feel the hips do the opposite. Feel the energy of your hips push to sky as the hips otherwise would be tempted to sink down. Let's do that once more. Overhead on an inhale. Working a lot into our legs here. Exhale, feel the hips press up as the arms press down. Then stay here and pulse those hips up for 3, 2, 1. And then roll it down slow and rest. Working into our quads, hamstrings, glutes, inner thighs. Beautiful. All right, let's take those legs next and stretch them down to the floor. Flex your feet, pushing out through your heels, making sure the feet aren't splaying out to the sides. They're run parallel with all 10 toes pointed straight up to the sky. You're going to feel your inner thighs squeeze tight to midline of body. Your arms are going to reach back behind you again to the back of your mat. Palms faced in, shoulder blades pulled down, ribs sealed in, and pubic bones zipping up to your navel. We're moving into our roll-ups. So as you breathe in, start to lift off the ground your arms, your head, and your shoulders. If you ever need assistance on your exhale, take an elbow to the ground to help prop you up. Otherwise, doing it arms free, using your core strength to bring you to seated. Then we take a very slow fold forward. We really want to get this deep stretch here. So make sure you're always flexing your feet. The arms are parallel to your thighs. Your head is relaxed through the arms. We're going to stack up tall on our next inhale, fingertips to the sky. As you breathe out, you're going to tuck your tailbone under, scoop out your belly, keep driving out through the heels of your feet as you slowly return to the ground. And then never let your legs relax. They are important that they stay active. We do that again. Start your lift on an inhale. And if you do take an elbow to the floor, make sure you take your other side to the ground. Right? We want to even our bodies out. We sit upright, we hinge, and we take a slow fold forward. Stacking tall, breathing in. Make sure that you always look straight ahead as you're coming down so that the chin doesn't dive into the chest. Remember that tennis ball distance between. Twice more. Breath in, start it up. You're going to exhale as soon as you feel that fight within your body, right? We don't want to hold our breath. We want to use it. Deep, slow, gentle fold forward. Head is the last thing to let go. Inhale, stacking up. What would it be like to feel your arms as if they're trying to reach behind the ears while you're coming down? Notice that there's maybe a little bit more added intensity to the work when you do that. Last time here, inhale, the lift starts. About tips of shoulder blades. When you start to bring that exhale out, anchor those legs down, lift your chest to the sky, and then fold, 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 and stretch. We'll sit upright on the inhale. We're going to stay seated. We're just going to exhale and take the arms down beside us. Beautiful. You guys are going to go ahead and stay as you are. I'm just going to take a quarter turn to face the camera so you can see me a little bit more easily through this next exercise. So what I'd like us to do here is we're going to take two different seated exercises. The first of which, actually let me backpedal. So yeah, two exercises seated. Both of these exercises are going to strengthen the same areas of our body. The upper shoulders and upper back muscles and our core muscles. With that being said, the first variation, the strength of the upper body, shoulders and upper back comes from the stillness of the arms, right? The arms not moving. And then the stability comes from the core, as well as the movement comes from the strength of our core. The second one will be flipped, whereas the strength of our upper back and shoulders comes from the movement of our body, and then the strength of our core comes from the stillness of our body. So with the first one being arms still and strength, core moving in strength, our arms are going to come into cactus position. So 90-90 at either side. From here on out, the arms are, think of them being frozen solid in this space. It's going to be very tempting for our arms to move independently from our body and lead the way, but we want to make sure that we're using our waistline and our core to do the movement work. The strength of the arms and the upper back is coming from just keeping them here. Our shoulder blades draw in and down our backside, and that stays as such. Let's take a breath in and sit a little bit taller. When you breathe out, I'd like you to take a slow twist over to your right through your waist. And then you're going to very lightly feel that left arm almost resist you by pressing back. It's going to fight you a little bit. And then come back through center. So notice I didn't twist through my arms. My arms didn't do the work. They're just right here. Take it over to the left. So of course our torso is moving, and that's the only reason the arms do. Otherwise, they just are solid in place. Center on the inhale. Make sure that the elbows haven't fallen or the hands haven't pulled in. Let's do it again over to the right. Eyes move across the horizon. Legs don't move. Center on an inhale. So keep flexing your feet, keep squeezing them tight. Take it to the left, getting taller as you twist. Come back through center. Now let's take the arms out to a T and draw circles. So now we're moving into that second exercise where now we're moving our arms, still strengthening our shoulders and upper back, but now our torso stays steady, and that comes to the strength of our belly, pulling it in and up. Breathe. 3, chest up. 2, shoulders down. 1, pause, reverse direction. I know we're working a lot here. Breathe. 3, reach through those fingers. 2, spread them wide. 1, heart tall. Good, and then let the arms float down. Then let yourself melt forward. Let your feet relax in that space. Your arms hang heavily in front of you, and then let the head gently fall forward. I'd like you to breathe into your back body. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Let's do that once more. Breath into the back body. As you breathe out, I'd like you to stack your spine back up again, one vertebra at a time, and the head will be the last thing that comes up. From here, I'd like us to transition to tabletop position, hands and knees, so that we can stretch our upper back and back of shoulder. So let's go ahead and do that here. Coming on to hands and knees. I know my head's a little cut off here, so I'm going to stay down low. Spread fingers wide to support your wrists. From here, when you take an inhale, I'd like you to take your right arm, sweep it out to its side, lift it up to the sky, and let your eyes follow the hand up. And then as you breathe out, you're going to take that right arm and thread it underneath you. Turn, look over to the left. Actively reach that arm across the ground, and then slowly rest your chest onto the arm. So the right arm here is completely active. If I start to let it just become dead weight, I'm actually losing a bit of stretch. So I want us to actively reach the entire time. Then from here, as an option, you can tent the fingers of your left hand. Step that left hand a bit off to the side, point the elbow up to the sky, and then you can kind of push off those fingertips to try to roll your chest towards the sky a little more, and perhaps even looking up at the sky. Essentially, what you're doing here is just putting more weight onto that stretched arm. And then when you inhale, I'd like you to send that breath to your right shoulder blade behind you. And let it go. So sometimes when we visualize the area we're breathing into, we can actually really deepen that experience of stretch. Let's do that again. Inhale into the right shoulder blade. Exhale, let it go. We'll do that one more time. Breathe into the shoulder blade. Then as you breathe out, take your left hand to the ground, press it in, push off of it, and then unravel to tabletop. Let's do the other side. Left arm sweeps out and up on an inhale. The eyes follow the hand to the sky. That arm then threads underneath. You look to the right, reach across the ground. Rest onto the arm, cheek or ear to the floor. Then if you'd like, you can tuck the fingers of right hand, push it to the side, point the elbow up, press into the ground to maybe roll open a bit more towards sky. Again, never forcing this, so if it doesn't feel right for your body, certainly go ahead and ease out of it instead. Left hand still active, fingers still spread, reach, 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 reach. Now we're breathing into our left shoulder blade, so we'll do that a few times. Inhale. Exhale. Again, breath in. Breath out. One more time, inhaling. Press the right hand down and push off of it as you exhale to travel back into tabletop position. Beautiful. From tabletop, let's transition briefly onto our stomach, and then we'll continue to strengthen more into our back body. Some middle back, lower back, and glute strengthening, which is also considered our core. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start with our arms crossed over one another. And we're resting our forehead to our forearms. My head will be lifted up just so that you can hear me, but yours will be grounded. I want your feet to be shoulder width distance apart, the tops of feet pressed into the ground, and your pelvic triangle rooted as well. That's your two hip bones and your pubic bone. When we press it in, it engages the muscles that surround the pelvis to help support not only the pelvis, but to help support the lower back. With your forehead grounded, on an inhale, I'd like you to lift your head and chest off of the ground, off of the arms. Then as you breathe out, I'd like you to take those arms and try to pull them up to your hairline. Pull the belly in firm. Then just lower the arms down when you breathe in. Then lower the head and chest down as you exhale. Again, inhale the head and heart, find lift. Exhale, Middle back muscles are engaged, lower back, glutes, belly, upper back. And then take the arms down on an inhale. Take the head and heart down, exhale. We're doing 2 more of these. Inhale, as your head and chest comes up, you're not looking forward, you're looking still at the ground. Exhale, arms to hairline. Arms down on an inhale. Head and heart down, exhale. One last time here. Breathe in. You're still holding that imaginary tennis ball between your chin and your chest. Exhale, arms pull up. Take just the arms down as you breathe in. And then let the head and heart rest. Breathing out. You're going to go ahead and keep your head grounded there. We're next going to travel to lower back and glute, focused on strengthening. Pelvic triangle presses in deep to the ground, breathing in, squeezing your glutes and lifting your legs off the ground, exhaling, point back with those toes and reach. Then come back down on an inhale. So this movement should be very, very, very slow. So exhale, squeeze glutes, slowly pull the legs up. Even if the legs only lift up like 1/4 of an inch, I still want you to think about using the entire exhale to take them there. Let the legs come down again, breathing in. We'll do 4 more of these. 4, squeeze first before you begin your movement to support it. Come down on an inhale. 3 more, squeeze and lift. Press those hips into the floor. Take it down on an inhale. Let's do that 2 more times. Lift. And then lower. Good. One last time, guys. Squeeze the glutes, lift up the legs, keep them lifted, keep on breathing. Flutter kick. Movement from the hips and glutes, pointing through those toes. 4, 3, thighs up. 2, steady breath. 1. Good. And then gently let the legs come down. Once they have, bend your knees and lift your feet up to the sky. Come into some windshield wipers, whether you choose to do side to side or crisscross. Either way, it's just a nice little release for the lower back. Then stretch the legs behind you, hug them together. Uncross your arms, slide your hands underneath your shoulders, and then very slowly, very gently, I'd like you to transition into a closed-legged child's pose, sitting back to the heels. And once you found yourself kind of settled into that space, I'd like you to then inhale into your lower back. And then exhale, let it go. Again, breathe in, let your lower back inflate, filling with air, and then exhale, feel it deflate as you release. We'll do that one last time. Inhale into the lower back, and then exhale, letting it go. Good. We'll gently come out of our child's pose next, and we're going to transition to lie down on our left side. We're going to be lengthened out fully down on our mat. Make sure you're in a straight line with the body and that you're stacked appropriately. Legs, hips, shoulders. Right hand on your hip, the elbow points to the sky. Our feet are flexed, push out through the heels. Press the entire left side of your body into the ground as an anchor so that you can hover your top leg with a subtle inward rotation of the thigh. Then we'd like to then go ahead and line your neck up with your spine by looking straight on. From here, we're going to lift that right leg up on the exhale using the strength of the outer hip. And then we hover on an inhale. Again, slow pull up. And then a slow hover. Let's do 4 more. 4. No momentum here, right? We're not swinging the leg up quickly or dropping it down fast, right? When we move slow, we rely on nothing else but the strength of our muscles. Let's do 2 more. Slow lift up. And then hover on and inhale. A little bit of gravity, of course, involved. Yeah. Lift the leg on the exhale. Drive out through the heel of your foot. And then I'd like you to take the leg just half of the way back down from here. And then I'd like you to point the toes. Reaching out through toes, but remember, we're reaching out through hip. The movement mechanism stems at hip joint. Let's draw some circles with the right leg. Take your time, move slow, move small. This is about control and isolation. So independently, we're moving the right leg. All together, the rest of the body is like a statue. Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Let's pause, reverse the direction. So use your left side body to your advantage. Really push it down still into the earth for support. Good. 3, 2, 1. Let's pause. Let's take that right leg down. Let's bend both knees, bring the feet behind you, and then lift both feet off the ground. Moving into clamshell, still strengthening the outer hip and a little bit more into the glute as well. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, use that hip and glute strength to try to lift that right knee up towards the sky, opening up your shell. And we're going to close the shell up on an inhale. Let that knee come back down. We lift through hip and glute to open the leg up. And we close it back in. Make sure that elbow does not follow. 2 more. Open slow. Clamshell. Close it down. One last time, we're going to lift that right knee towards the sky. But now we're just going to lower it 1/3 of the way down. And then use your hip and glute to pulse that knee towards sky. Yes. 3, 2, 1. Good. And then close your shell. Release the feet down and then stretch the legs back out so you're in a straight line once again. Let's go ahead and press ourselves up slowly to seated. Then let's swing the legs around and transition to our other side. Lying down on our right side. Straight line and stacked. Hand on hip, elbow to sky. You may already feel one side feels different than the other. For me, I'm a little bit more wobbly on this side. And it's a nice thing to notice actually when we do side body work is that when you can notice one side may be a little bit more trickier than the other, that's just an indication that maybe that's the weaker side of body. And that if you do this practice kind of by yourself, you can always add in an extra, few of each movement to help maybe start to bring the body a bit more to balance. All right, flex your feet. Right side body pushes down, top leg hovers, internal rotation of thigh, and then we line the neck up and we begin again. We're gonna lift that left leg up on the exhale through hip strength. And we're gonna hover the leg when we breathe in. Slow pull up of the leg on in the exhale, but don't forget about your core here. It's still working. It's just a little secondary now this time. Hover on and inhale. We're going to do 4 more here. 4. So pull that navel back towards spine as the leg lifts and then hover. Keep pushing through the heel as you pull the leg up and then take it to hover with resistance, right? Never dropping quick. 2 more. Pull. Good. Hover on and inhale. 1 last time, lifting leg up, taking down just half of the way. Toes are gonna point, mechanism of the hip, circles. That's where the movement stems from. If you think of it coming out through the toes, there's a greater chance of the leg losing its stability and its strength. 3, take your time. 2, remember your right side working for you. 1, good, pause and reverse. So ideally we don't want our upper body to shift. But it's very tempted to do so. So we use more abdominal strength to support us here. Good. 3, 2, 1. Let's pause. Let's take that left leg down. Bend both of the knees so the feet are brought back behind you. Then we lift the feet off the ground and we move into our clamshell. So now the hip and the glute is going to try to lift that left knee up towards sky. And then close it back down. So another way to indicate to see the difference between 2 sides is this knee maybe lifting higher or maybe a little bit lower than the last, or maybe about equal, and maybe you're just almost balanced. 2 more, opening through hip and glute, closing back down with resistance. Once more, knee towards sky. Take it just 1/3 of the way back down, and then from there, pulsing the knee up, but the movement doesn't really stem from the knee. It stems from the hip, the glute. 5, good. 4, belly tight. 3, 2, steady breathing. 1, Good. The clam closes, the feet lower, and the legs stretch out nice and long. Let's go ahead and roll onto our back here for a moment so that we can stretch a bit more into our hips. So some options, we can do this grounded, or we can do this lifted. I'll show grounded first. Soles of your feet are going to come together and the knees are going to open out. Your hands come to the inner thighs. You want to feel the energy of your hands first pressing down on the legs, then feel the hands kind of spread. Maybe they even physically spread down towards the knees. And you can hold and breathe here. Same position of legs, just a different elevation. We're going to, if you want to, lift the legs up. You're going to either hold your feet outer edges or the ankles. You're then going to pull the feet to you, then actively push the knees away and then ground your tailbone down. So, right, the legs are in the same shape. This is just going to be a little bit more of an intense sensation of stretch. So breathe into those hips, breathe into those inner thighs. Deep breaths in, long breaths out. Again, inhale, exhale. One last time, we breathe it in. And then we let that stretch release as we exhale. And then we're all going to draw the knees close into chest, hands on the knees. From here, I'd like you to lift up the head, neck, and shoulders, coil into a little ball. From this space, I'd like you to start small, rock forward and back. Then I want you to think about using your abdominal strength to increase the size of your rocking until you can bring yourself all the way up to seated, right? So that doesn't have to be a core exercise. We could certainly just use our body momentum to rock us up, but it's just a nice fun way to still strengthen our abdominals one last time. All right, let's go ahead and cross our legs, ground our sits bones to the floor, lift our chest up high to the sky, and pull our shoulders back. Arms are going to be beside us with hands grounded down. I'd like you to take your right arm on the inhale, reach it straight up to the sky, right beside the ear. As you breathe out, I'd like you to stretch slowly to your left side. Make sure that your right sit bone stays planted into the floor. I don't want the arm to pull out in front because then we've lost part of the side stretch. So make sure arm is in line with ear, or even you can start to pull it slightly behind and roll your chest open towards sky, perhaps look towards sky. This is an option, not a requirement, but we want to breathe into our right side body. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Again, breath into the right side. Breath out. One more time. Breathe it in big. And then I need you to pull in your core, belly strong, to slowly stack your body upright, and then let that arm come down beside you. We'll do the other side. Your left arm is going to reach straight up to the sky, right by the ear. And then let's stretch over to the right. Left sit bone really pressed down into the floor. We breathe into our left side. Inhale. Exhale. So again, make sure the arms lined up with ear or even a subtle external rotation. Breathe into the left side. Breathe out. One more time. Inhale it. Deep and full, and firm up your belly. Lift up very slowly. Stack, and then let the arm come down beside you. Once the arm has lowered, you're going to go ahead and turn your palms to face sky. As you breathe in, I'd like you to reach your arms out and up. Touch the hands above. And then exhale, bring your hands to your heart. We'll do that 2 more times here. Inhale up high to the sky. Connect above you. Then exhale, bring within you heart space. Last time here. Inhale it. And then exhale to your heart. Keep your hands at your heart. Lower your chin to your chest. Just briefly close your eyes here. I like to take this time at the end of practice to give thanks to yourself for coming here, showing up, and being dedicated and motivated to your health and well-being. For being grateful of your body and its ability to move, stretch, strengthen, and breathe. For connecting to your body. And then just a brief thank you for you guys and coming to class, allowing me to share my knowledge and my passion. And I hope to see you guys in a different realm. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great one. Thank you guys so very much. It's been a pleasure.